Alright, so we made this little carbon piece and that got us thinking, what else can we make? A carbon fender. So that got us thinking, how hard can it be to make a door? Don't drop it. It's actually pretty difficult. Now this is the E36 we've been building the past few months. Now don't get me wrong, it's not a race car, however, it's not far off. We're trying to make something street legal, something in between a real super touring car and a daily driver, preferably the best of both worlds. Now engine-wise, we've got an S54 in here. We've rebuilt it, we've upgraded it, hell, we've even remodeled, re-engineered the fuse box. Exciting stuff, I know. A couple of episodes ago, we decided to tiptoe ourselves into composites by making a little center console, which worked out a little too well, which got us cocky and thinking, hey, sure, we can make some fenders. Now, not just any fenders, but copies of the original super touring wide body fenders. Now, when this succeeded, and that might have not been on the first or second or even third try, but we did succeed in the end, we thought, hey, if we can tackle that, how hard can a door be? Now, you might be asking yourself, why the hell would you take on the task of making composite doors yourself? Well, it is simply because just like the fenders, what we want isn't available. You see, we want a couple of things. First up, we want to have a functioning window because having a slider window, it sucks and it's for race cars, and this obviously is not a race car. Second of all, we want to have doors that fit correctly. We want the absolute best fitment we can get. Third, most important of all, we want to have a visual carbon layer on the inside, and as far as I know, nobody makes them like that. So we figured making fenders makes us qualified enough to make doors, because how hard can it really be? Right? First up, we're gonna see how much the original door weighs.
Bij 20 kilo dan niet meer waard.
Ik had er wat meer verwacht, eerlijk gezegd. Oké, ja. Ja? Don't show me any now, the car.
Maybe you can show me how to love. Maybe I'm going through a drought. You don't even have to do too much. You can turn me on with just a touch, baby. I look since city's cold and empty. No one's around to judge me. I can see clearly when you're gone.
Alright, we've fully stripped down the door, cleaned it up, removed all the grease, and now we can take a mold from it. Now, before we continue, however, we're gonna quickly sand it down just a tiny bit, get rid of some of the imperfections, and more importantly, get a matte finish, because whatever finish we leave on the door now is also gonna be the finish of the product we take out of the mold. So we wanna have it nice and matte finish.
I can see the sun light up the sky, so I hit the road in overdrive, baby. Oh, the city's cold and empty. No one's around to judge me. I can see clearly when you're
So after finishing all the flanges and getting slightly distracted, we're now ready to actually put on the gel coat. So we've put on the flanges, we've applied a wax again in all of the corners and edges so the gel coat itself doesn't go into any negative spaces and locks itself into place. And lastly, we've applied a release agent so the gel coat itself doesn't bond to the thing we're trying to replicate. So now we're going to put on a couple of layers of gel coat, followed by a reinforcement layer of thinner fiberglass, and then 4 thicker layers to really give it its final strength. After which we can let it cure for 24 hours, take it out and move on to the other side again. But obviously we're starting with the easy side.
This is how we do it. It's Friday night and I feel alright. The party's here on the west side, so I reach for my 40 and I turn it up. I'll designate a driver, take the keys to my truck. Hit the shop cause I'm faded. The honeys in the streets say money, yo, we made it. It feels so good in my hood tonight. The summertime skirts and the guys in Kanai. All the gangbangers forgot about the drive-by. You gotta get your groove on before you go get paid. So tip up your cup and throw your hands up and let me hear the party say, I'm kinda buzzed and it's all because this is how we do it. Ooh, South Central does it like nobody does. This is how we do it. To all my neighbors, you got much flavor. This is how we do it. Let's flip the...
Alright, it's now another 24 hours later and we can flip it upside down and start on the other side. Because what we're doing is we're going to keep the door inside of this mold, flip it around and use the flanges of this mold to make the other mold against, if that makes any sense. So instead of removing the door, starting all over again with a blank door for the other side, we're going to leave it inside of the mold and basically make a shell on 2 sides of the original door. So we have part A and part B. I'm not sure if that works, but it seems like the easiest way because it prevents us from having to make new flanges on the outer side again, since we can simply use the flanges that we've just made. Theoretically.
Ooh, South Central does it like nobody does. This is how we do it. To all my neighbors, you got much flavor. This is how we do it. And I'll never go back on an old school track now. This is how yeah. Said I'm kinda buzzed, it's all because this is how we do it. South Central does it like nobody does. Nobody does. YND, FCC. Come back with an old school track.
This is how we do.
Oh, I'm buzzing because this is how we do it. South Central does it like nobody does. Nobody does. To all my neighbors, you got much flavor. This is how we do it. And I'll never go back on an old school track now. This is how yeah. Then I'm kind of buzzed, it's all because South Central does.
Alright, plugging all the holes with wax on this side took about 3 times as long. It was not fun at all because there's so many holes you have to plug. Either way, we can now continue. We're going to apply some release agent and then start on the gel coat again, same as the other side, just the same exact process. And then we can take it apart, see if we've won something.
Watch me work it, I'm perfect.
right now both parts of the mold are completely finished. We have the inside skin and the outside skin. However, before we take it out, I want to reinforce the outer shell a little bit because the inner shell and mold itself have a bunch of different shapes in it, so it's really strong on its own. However, the outer shell is basically just a flimsy, flat piece of carbon, and the same goes for the mold. The mold itself is going to be really flimsy if we take it apart now. So what we're going to do for the outer shell is make some extra wooden reinforcements on the top, bond it together, make sure it doesn't twist around, because the outer shell and the outer mold is going to be our reference point for when we actually assemble the doors. So I want to make sure this stays in the exact curvature it's in right now. So we're going to look at some more instructions, then we're going to wing it, and hopefully by the end of the day we can unpack the two molds.
Watch me work it, I'm perfect.
Just pop right out. All right, so we have two production-ready molds. Honestly, this came out so much better than we personally expected, because we pretty much made two molds at the same time. So if it's a failure, you don't really know until you unpack it. And fortunately, this was a massive success. At least I see it as a massive success. There are 2 or 3 spots in the mold itself where the gel coat we used actually came loose again when taking out the steel door, so it was still bonded to the steel door. One of them is right here, which we're gonna fill up with wax, and then on the final product we can send it back. You won't see anything of it in the final product. And all of the other spots are in areas of the carbon that are gonna get trimmed after we made the product. For example, in the door or the inner skin of the door, there's a tiny little hole in the part that is gonna get cut out of the carbon again. So it doesn't really matter. It's not something that's gonna come into the final product, just in the thing we're gonna produce right now. Now, the way we're gonna do this is with the infusion process. If you're not familiar with it, as we weren't another episode ago, it's actually pretty simple. In theory, you just put dry carbon into the mold, you put it in a vacuum bag, put it under vacuum, and then you kind of suck in epoxy from one side into the mold out the other side. And this is gonna replace all the empty voids with epoxy. The alternative method is a wet lay, where you just simply put the carbon into the mold and really brush in the epoxy manually. However, that leaves a lot to be desired. You get a ton of air, and really the finish isn't as good as we want it to be. So we're gonna start laying up the carbon into the molds themselves. So far, this is nothing we haven't done before. It's actually simpler because this is just a single piece, just like that. The fender was 3 parts. So in theory, this should be easier.
3 times easier.
All right, cue the music. Alright, so yesterday we completed the layup of both the inside and the outside skin. Now, that was an absolute piece of cake. It's basically just a flat layer. This one, however, with all the curves and shapes, a bit more difficult. Hence why we're now a day later continuing the work. As you can see, we've applied a white fabric on top of the carbon itself, and this is a so-called peel ply, because we're going to be adding another element onto this carbon stack really, which is a infusion mesh. Because you see, even though the carbon is just weaves of fabric and epoxy can run through it, it will be extremely slow. And to really speed up things, we're going to be using this mesh, which is kind of same thing as a fabric, just with more space in between. And this will allow the infusion and the epoxy to go throughout the carbon part much faster. However, if we just apply this on top of the carbon, this will bond onto the carbon itself with all the epoxy. You're gonna end up with a really heavy part and the inside is gonna be aesthetically unpleasing. So in short, we have 3 layers of carbon followed by this peel ply, and then on top of that, the flow mesh to really speed things up. We're then gonna include an inlet and an outlet, and on the inlet side, we're gonna apply a spiral tube to really spread out the starting point of the infusion. So the epoxy doesn't just have to start from a single point, it'll just speed things up to the other side and just flow towards the exit. And that is pretty much all there is to an infusion process.
Oh, in the back.
Right, the bag. Then you just simply, very carefully, have to make a seal-proof, airtight bag for the infusion, which, by all accounts, is the most difficult part of making carbon parts. Who would have thought? Just bagging it up. Some double-sided tape, you put some plastic on it, it should seal. Should. So, you're gonna see us figure out this mesh and this stuff, and it's just gonna go smooth sailing, and then you'll probably see us make a couple of bags. So yeah, let's grab the plastic and do some fun stuff.
When we started this band, I was needed wasn't left. Years gone by, I say we've kicked some ass. When I make rage, you hear the stage, drilling runs through my veins, and I say we're still kicking ass. Say, kickstart my heart, hope it never stops till the day we did all of this to right.
All right, I call that a success. And this is by far the most tricky part. So we're gonna unpack the easy one now. And other than that, it's looking pretty fantastic, to be honest. All right, this one was much easier because we were pulling the peel ply and it already came loose. All right, so we have 2 pieces of the puzzle. Now the fun part begins. Somehow these 2 simple sheets of carbon are gonna have to form a functional door, and not just any door, because we want to make the perfect fitting carbon doors with completely functional window mechanism inside. So the plan is we're gonna trim these up and then we're gonna cut open the old original door, because the original door isn't made of 2 skins. There's a 3rd layer in between those 2 where the window mechanism and the guidance rails for the actual windows sit. So we're gonna cut it open, do a little autopsy, and see if we can maybe either copy some parts, scrap some parts, or reuse some parts in order to make the windows function. Because the last thing I want is a plastic window with a slider. We want to retain all the original functions. That means I want the exact functions of the original door, except I want it to weigh half the original, or less preferably. So we're gonna put on some gas mask, trim up these edges a little bit, not too much, because we want to make sure that we leave enough room for the fitting. And then we'll loosely hold it up against the car to see what it's gonna look like. Yeah, fun part.
Zeker niet.
But now, something I've been wanting to do for a long time. How good does that look? Everything's loose, by the way. Nothing. Everything is just smoke and mirrors. A lot of smoke. Smoke comes naturally when S54. So I wanted to match the fabric to this. And we did, except you're working from the inside out. So it matches like this. See? Yeah. See, I've done such a great job. It just it's perfect. Look on the bright side. We can try 3 more times.
Nee, is vol. Nee.
All right, I've been stalling because it's time to go to more cutting. Because trimming this and the inside piece took all fucking day. Because obviously you gotta bond the 2 halves together. And you gotta make sure that when it's bonded together, you get the right thickness. And the problem with that is you have to just trim it down really carefully, not going through the weave, as I've done a couple of times almost. I didn't. Not yet, anyway. Helemaal niet.
Oh, je hebt het niet gekocht.
Wat? There's...
Gotta say it.
You won't ever see it. All right, so in our quest of trying to make the perfect doors, we want to retain all of the original door functions. Most importantly, the window mechanism. Now, for that, we need more than just the inner and outer shell. Originally, the door is made up of 3 or more layers. There's one more layer in between the inner and outer shell, which we deemed unnecessary. And now we are going to open up this shell because there's some guidance rails in between the 2 layers. And we can see if we can either reuse them or replicate them and see what else is in this shell that we need in order to reuse the windows. And if you're curious why we're not keeping the door, is because it's already ruined. You see, in order to make the mold, we needed to cut off the threads here, the threads for the hinges. With the threads still in here, we couldn't have made the mold, so we had to cut them off. And there's no way in order for us to put the threads back. So in order to make the molds, we had to sacrifice the door. So the door is ruined anyway, so don't hate me for destroying a perfectly fine door with a... Vergeleken bij Mark zijn auto, is dit gewoon een goede deur, oké? Sorry Mark. Alright, so I've opened it up just a little bit. And here you can see this is the part we have, and this is the outer shell or inner shell. Now, the things we need for the window mechanism are this guidance rail. Now, the plan is, I think, to drill it out and simply reuse it, because it's such a tiny part, it cannot weigh more than 200-300 grams. And then on this side, we have another part of the rail that comes out of the door. It bolts onto these 2 parts. So we're gonna drill out these little tabs, simply glue them back into the carbon shell. At least that's the plan for now. It makes sense in my head. I mean, I've made a dozen carbon doors by now.
Fenders, yeah.
Look, we made 4 right-hand side fenders, 1 left-hand side. That's a massive improvement. And we've made, yeah, that's it. We're qualified. We can do this, no problem. And if we don't succeed in the first one, we got 3 more. And then there's your car.
Oh, rustig aan.
So, unfortunately the door didn't make it, but we managed to get what we came for. Alright, it's now time to actually put the door together. Now, there are a couple of things we extracted from the original door. The first and foremost being this guidance rail. This is what combines the 2 halves at certain points, and it provides a guidance rail for the original window. So we've drilled it out, we've trimmed it a bit, give it a little paint job. The other 2 things we extracted are these 2 little brackets. One of them goes in here and one of them goes here, and they support this little rail. Now, and lastly, there was some amount of escalation. You see this profile, this houses the seal rubber on the outside of the window, and for how simple it is, it was just way too heavy. Don't ask me how we make that exact judgment. It's more about that we can make this profile, however we cannot make this profile. So what we've done is we've remodeled it and 3D printed it, and together these weigh just over 60 grams. So that's 300 grams saved by switching this one out for these. Now, one of the heaviest pieces, the actual window mechanism. Honestly, there's not too much we can do about this. Sure, we can drill it out a bit, but honestly, it's really not worth the trouble. Here we have the inside skin, and these are the parts we're gonna glue back in. So, first up, we got this guidance rail, and you can see the rail goes from here to here. And then there's another piece that goes here, which we don't have, doesn't matter. And then this part sits right here. And for that, we've taken out this little piece where this slides into, like so. And then finally, this little bracket where this goes. And that's pretty much all we need to make a functioning window mechanism. So we're gonna glue these parts in and then figure it out as we go. Yeah, no, the plan is to glue this in and then fit the window regulator, fit the window seals, and see if we can get it to work like this before we seal up the coffin and we have to cut it back open.
Yeah, I'm overzealous when I'm thinking about the cash flow. I never had no handouts, just came natural. I've been testing so much, all these wrestlers nice. All these different situations that I've been through. I seen pain trying to creep in through the window, but now I'm sliding through the hood in a benzo. You gotta separate yourself just to elevate. I keep some drink in my cup to see through the hate. Sometimes on the road to glory, you gotta press the brakes. I got a lesson plan for all my past mistakes. I swear I'm proud of all my best and my worst days. Proud of all my feet when I touch the ground. Front of 8 at Beijing, man, they know the sound. I know I made mistakes, but my mama proud. Fans scream my lyrics out in the background. They ain't know me then, but I'm hot now. They say life's a gamble, you gotta roll the dice. I risked a lot of different things just to live this life. This life damn bad, you gotta pay the price.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
Dit is niet op deze. And that supposedly is one functioning door. Except the outside then, but... Kijk dit. Don't be fooled. This isn't years and years of hard work. This is pure luck. Bull. That is cool. We didn't adjust anything. Normally you spend hours dicking around with this, adjusting this, and this. Sure, we still gotta do something, but okay, I'll take it. Right, so with this dry, we can now show you what it's actually for. So originally when you have the window here, there's a weather strip to keep moisture and rain out of the door. Now for this you need this, and this goes into this steel profile, which sits like this. This is the outside skin of the door. But it's way too heavy, so now when we have this 3D printed part, we can simply install it as if it was original, making it look a ton nicer than having some gap here or a bunch of glue or God knows what else. All right, after double checking, triple checking, quadruple checking everything twice, we think we're ready to weld them together. I'm not sure what more we can do at this point except just toss it in, apply some glue. We've applied some tape so we don't glue everything to the mold itself. And at this point we're going to apply some glue along the edges, put the outer shell or inner shell back onto here, apply some clamps, wait 24 hours and unpack our new perfect carbon door, I think. All right, it's the moment of truth. It's 24 hours later, and either we got a finished product or we're gonna start over. In which case, it will be troublesome because the video has to be live next week. It held up pretty nice actually. So, it ain't stupid if it works. I'm scared. I don't want to face any possible consequences of my own actions. I'd rather not. How's it look? Oh, hello. Did we actually make a door? I think we did. That is crazy. It honestly looks really good. Like
Lijkt me echt. Lijkt me echt de. Zeg maar de die niet bij.
So this is the beauty of using this piece of metal in between the two skins. It makes it sturdier and we can reuse the original seals, which unlike a lot of other composite doors just makes it look so much nicer. And honestly, I wouldn't know how else to do it. So I'm acting as if it's like this really wise decision was my only option. Oh, that's cool. That is really, really dope. All right, so weight savings wasn't exactly our primary goal when making carbon doors, even though we packaged it as a weight savings ambition. Now, my primary concern with the plastic windows was the actual tint. You see, it doesn't really show up all too often, but when you really look at the glass of a car, you see it's really tinted. And one of the things I hate is when you have a race car or a semi-race car and you look at it from the outside, you can really see how fake the windows look, and it just breaks up the car a bit too much. So I have managed to find someone who could tint these plastic windows. They have a really nice OEM looking green tint to them. It just looks so much better than a completely clear one. They came out looking absolutely fantastic, and the weight savings is magnificent because these are 3.5 kilos, these are just 1.5. Now is switch out these little aluminum profiles, put them on these ones. Now these are not exactly made for disassembly, so we're gonna dig around, see if we can remove these while keeping the glass in this shape. Ta-da! All right, now before we can do the final assembly of the door, we're gonna paint it. But before we can get to actually painting it, we have to do some finishing up. You see, between the inner and the outer skin, we've glued them together. At certain points, there's still a tiny gap. There's no problem at all. We're gonna fill those up with epoxy. After it's dried up, we can just sand it back down, continue sanding the entire thing, and get it ready for paint. Now, we are going to do a clear coat. I'm still choosing between a satin or a matte finish. It's not gonna be a glossy finish because I just think it looks tacky. So we're gonna go with a satin or a matte finish, and we're only gonna do the inside. So we're gonna clear coat the inside, and the outside is gonna stay raw. And that is because of my indecisiveness. Because I really don't want to paint over the outside just yet. Like, the final goal is to have the entire car painted in red, hell rod red. However, for now, I'd really like to keep it carbon, because the more carbon pieces we add, the cooler it looks. And who knows, you might end up with a full carbon E36. Might have said too much there. So we're gonna get on with epoxying the sides, sanding it back down, get it ready for paint. After which we can finally install everything else, do the finishing touch on the outside, and show you the finished result, because it's gonna look even better than what we've just shown you.
Bring it back, sing it back, bring it back, sing it back to me. Bring it back, sing it back,
So at this point, you've seen we don't just have one door, we actually have two. And there's a good reason for that. Well, besides the fact that we need two, there's a more practical reason. You see, at first I was really hesitant on making carbon doors, simply because the time investment is not just high, it's insane. Like, there's no way this ever makes any sense. So at first I was like, we really cannot do it. It just takes up too much time. And that is when Cho sandbagged me into, well, he tricked me. He tricked me in a very, very, very sinister way. He said we should have some more experience making carbon parts. We should make something very simple. A simple flat piece. This is that flat piece. So he tricked me into, we'll just make the outside shell. We'll just make the outside shell, and we did. And it went great. It went pretty easy. And then he said, hold it up against the door. And right there I saw it. That's a carbon door. And that's how Cho tricked me into actually starting this crazy project. That's when we started recording the entire process, because I was that sure we weren't gonna do this, so we didn't even bother recording making the first outside shell. So we painted everything, we assembled everything, we can completely assemble both doors, put them inside a car, and do the rear doors some other time, because honestly, if you guys still want this episode this year, we are gonna make the rear doors 100%, because after seeing this, how could we not? Except the episode where we're gonna be doing that is not gonna be the main focus of carbon. We're gonna just put it in between some other episodes, like as a side project, because you know how we love to do those. Let's start assembling it, see what the final weight is, see what it looks like on the car, fully assembled. Yeah, I really didn't think we'd ever get to this point, but here we are.
Just a touch, baby. I look around, since city's cold and empty, no one's around to judge me. I can see clearly when you're gone. And I said, ooh, I'm blinded by the lights. No, I can't sleep until I feel your touch. I said,
So there's just one thing missing here, as you can see, and that is the door card itself. Now, these are the original door cards I had on the car. I went all fancy and did some M-ring cloth on here, and it looked pretty well for what it was. Now, to give you an idea of what it looks like on the doors, I'm gonna quickly hold it up because all the clips are broken. Still need E36, okay? So yeah, that is the general idea. Yeah, we could have cleaned it before filming this, but the reason we didn't is a very good reason. You see, I wanted the roll cage to be out as far as possible, and that's come to bite me in the ass now because the door hits the roll cage right here. So these door cards, even though it looks great on the carbon doors, we're not going to be using these ones. These not in this shape. No, it's not. We're not making this into carbon. That would not be classy. You don't put carbon door cards on a carbon door. You put carbon door cards on the steel door. You put original door cards on a carbon door. That's classy. They really are light.
this is how we do it.
Yep.
This is how we do it. La 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 la. La 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 west side. So I reach for my 40 and I turn it up. I'll designate a driver, take the keys to my truck. Hit the shop cause I'm faded. The honeys in the streets say money, yo, we...
Okay, so it wasn't quite the little project we had in mind, but then again, that's just how things go on this channel. So we made the front doors. Rear doors are gonna get made somewhere in the future. We're not gonna bore you too much with the details of that because we got bigger fish to fry, dumber projects to make, bigger delusions to undertake. Now, should we keep the car carbon looking like this? Not glossy carbon, but a mixture of satin and matte raw carbon finish like some of the GT3 cars you see? Or should we wrap or paint the outside red? Because I really like the look of this thus far. The rims are temporary, we're gonna change those up, don't worry, but we did make a prototype aero disc on the rear, just like the original cars. Needs to be a little bit bigger, but I think this is something we're gonna do in a future episode. Now, if you think this was a bad idea on its own, just going into making the door without any real world experience, just wait until you see what we have lined up after this. Because, you know, we've been having too much wild ideas and not enough setbacks to put us back into the realm of reality. So we got a bunch of really stupid ideas lined up, and honestly, I cannot wait to show you guys what we got coming up. And let me give you a little hint. The roof still isn't glued on. That's all I'm gonna say. All right, so that's gonna be it for this episode. This was quite an adventure, to say the least. So I wanna thank each and every one of you for watching all the way until the end. And if there's one thing you wanna do to help us out, hit that subscribe button. That more than anything helps us grow as a channel and allows us to do more stupid shit like this. All right, this is one of our best ideas to date.